everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. While we've got the truck up in the air for our transmission job, I'm going to do another job kind of at the same time. So these two videos are going to kind of overlap, but they're going to be two separate videos. What we're going to do is we're going to do a new exhaust system on it because the old one, it's just a patchwork of, 40 years of repairs, right? There's hunks of pipe and clamps and sleeves and adapters and reducers. It is what it is. It works okay, but it just doesn't look too nice. So we're going to make a whole new exhaust system for it. And I'm also going to, I don't really call it an upgrade, but we're going to modernize the brakes a little bit. As far as the brakes go, we're going to lose the 70s booster and 4-bolt cast iron master cylinder in favor of a late 80s / early 90s 2-bolt booster with an aluminum master cylinder. These things, they will let you down at the worst possible time because of the fact that they're cast iron and the bores eventually corrode and it cuts up the seal cups and you have a brake failure. Parts are ordered, not here yet. So for now, as far as the exhaust system goes, we're going to all we're going to do is drop the engine pipe out. So I'm going to cut it there at the inlet of the muffler, undo the 2 bolts at the manifold, and just drop that out. It'll get this. See how it crosses over underneath the bell housing there? It'll just make our transmission job so much easier if that's not there. So let's do that. And when I come back to finish this job, the transmission job should be done. So there it is. You see what I mean? It's kind of a mishmash of stuff. And we can see here that it's been leaking around the flange. So we'll try to get that sorted out. It had bolts in it. We're going to stud it. This should be studded at the top here. So we'll put a couple of studs in there when we put it back together. But for now, like I said, the exhaust is out of the way. Now we can continue with our transmission job. So here's what we're going to do. Our old exhaust was a dog's breakfast. So this here is your standard slant 6 exhaust, right? And this is a Super 6 exhaust. This is 1 3/4, sometimes 1 7/8. This is 2 1/4. So we're gonna do, this is all I've got of this, but that's the important part. That's the part that bolts the manifold and gets you started on the way down. This is off a Volare or an Aspen or something. So we've got a bunch of 2 1/4 bends. We've got a length of 2 1/4 pipe. And we've got a nice stainless steel 2 1/4 muffler that is, I'm pretty sure, very close to the right length. So it'll hang in the original hangers quite nicely. So we're going to start and see where we go. Something that is kooky about the Super 6 exhaust is that even though they up the exhaust to 2 1/4, they never did anything with the exhaust manifold. It's still it's got a 1 3/4 throat about that long down through where the heat riser, well, just below the heat riser. On my 71 Valiant, when I did up the slant 6 in it, I actually sent the manifold to a machine shop, and there was enough meat there that they were actually able to bore that out to 2 1/4. So I don't know if it helps or not, but it made me feel better. First thing we're going to do is put a pair of studs in the manifold because it had bolts going up into it to hold the exhaust, and that, let me tell you, is a pain in the neck when you're lying under there trying to jiggle it up and get it started. So we'll put a pair of studs in it and we'll be right back to factory. Here's the first step. We've got the old muffler and the tailpipe out. Now somehow I've got to get this extension pipe out of here. You can see the damage that it's done to the end of the tailpipe. I may just, with the pipe cutter, nip it just behind there to avoid damaging everything, taking it apart. In fact, that's probably the smartest thing to do. Hopefully that losing that tiny bit of length won't cause us too much trouble when we put it back together. So that went pretty well. We only lost about 3/4 of an inch of it. No worries. Now, we've got the end of this. This is our muffler. It's side in, center out, or center in, side out. It's reversible. Oh, look at that. You can see right through it. All right, this will probably sound a little grumbly. So we're using it in the side in, center out configuration. And it's a little bit loose on there, right? So we're going to use our handy dandy tailpipe expander here and just start working it a little bit and see if we can grow it some. You just work a little bit at a time and keep trying it. And this, because these jaws spread apart, you usually have to spread it and then release it and turn it a bit and spread it again. That'll make sure your pipe stays nice and round. And yeah, sometimes it gets stuck in there. Okay, that's pretty good. Now we can get this mounted under the truck, the muffler, and then we'll shove the tailpipe into it and we'll start getting stuff. I want to get this stuff all hung at the back before I worry about connecting it to the front. All right, so we've got it all roughed in. That guy goes up there like that. Perfect. I've got a butt joint there, so if I need to work on the clutch or the transmission, I can easily drop the front section of the exhaust out without having to fight with slip joints. So we're going to go ahead now and just kind of get stuff tacked up. And then we'll refit it again once it's tacked, make sure it all fits. And then we'll go ahead and weld everything solid. Yeah, that's nice. If it's perfect, it's not near anything. So we'll go ahead and get it, get this joint and this joint and this joint here tacked up. And then we'll pull the thing down and weld it solid. That turned out pretty good, eh? I have to say I like that a lot more than what was there. Now, all we got to do is get it in there. I got to look around here and see if I got a gasket for it. That could hold up the whole works, couldn't it? All right, that looks great. I can't wait to hear it. It should sound pretty good. I can't fire it up right now because we're still working on the inside and it doesn't have a gas pedal. But as soon as we get that done, we'll crank it up and see how she sounds. So we're kind of doing two videos at once here. Yeah, I really like that. So long as it doesn't have a bunch of great big leaks, we'll be all set. Meanwhile, our new style brake booster and master cylinder have showed up. So we can go ahead and get those changed. I got a funny feeling there'll be a little monkeying around with the pin here because ours, I think, has a much bigger eye and a bolt that goes through it. And this one has, well, you can see the eye is much narrower. But we'll figure that out one thing at a time. Well, there's that problem solved. Myford lathe to the rescue again. Now we can work at getting the old booster and master cylinder out of here. Before I start anything, while the master cylinder is still attached to the booster, I made sure I can get these lines. So I just cracked them and snugged them back up a bit. So now we'll separate the master cylinder from the booster, get the booster changed. Then we'll bench bleed our new master cylinder and get it installed. All right, so we can see they're a little different, but they're interchangeable. So we're going to stick this guy on. Well, they're interchangeable mostly. You know, stuff like this is different, but we're going to be fine. We'll get this one put in and get it hooked up. And wow, I just found out when I put this thing in, it must be tested before it's shipped out because that thing's got vacuum in it. I happened to touch the push rod and it started like it was working. That's awesome. It even comes with all new hardware. There we go. I did notice on this one the pedal hangs just a tiny bit lower, so we'll have to make a little adjustment to our brake light switch, but no big deal. Now we're going to go ahead and bench bleed the master cylinder. So you put these little hoses on, right? Master cylinders used to come with this stuff, but they don't anymore. So good thing I've got a good supply of them. We're going to fill the master cylinder up with clean, fresh fluid. There. Now we got to make sure these lines get right down into the fluid. So once we've got the ends of the line submersed in the fluid, we just start pumping it. You'll see the air bubbles coming out. At first you do long strokes, and then as you get going you just start doing short little jabs. And you have to keep making sure you're maintaining the level in here. I'll be back when I'm done. Once we're happy with our bench bleeding job, we'll pull these lines off and stick some rubber caps on there till we can get it in the car. Now it's ready to go on. You can see here all the rust around the piston, all the scuzz inside in the bottom of it. You don't get that in the aluminum ones. Yeah, it looks pretty darn good there, doesn't it? Just got to get it bled. Alright, I got the gas pedal sort of hooked up and our special racing gear shifter here to make sure it's in neutral. Let's crank it up. See if she'll start. Almost. Come on, baby. Carburetor's gone dry. All right. Sounds like a slant 6. See if we can get a sound bite. Yep, sounds like an engine. I don't hear any bad leaks or anything, so I think we're in good shape. Oh, look at the gas pouring out of the carburetor. That ain't good. All right, now that we got our master cylinder installed, we're going to crack the lines loose and get our assistant Deb to slowly push the pedal down. Push the pedal down, Deb, right to the floor. Okay, hold it. And then once we do that, we tighten the lines back up. And we're done. Our energy suspension insert for this thing finally showed up. So what we got to do is cut all the rubber out of it because you use the steel sleeve of the bushing. You just cut all the rubber out and put this thing in. So once we got all the old rubber cut out, you just work at it. I use an old steak knife, Once that's all out, then we just use the vise to squish these guys in. And then the last thing we'll do is install the center sleeve, and then we can just put her back. And there we go. You can see that's all that was holding the transmission up. I guess it's all right, but I like this better. All right, there's our mount all back together. And The cross member is all bolted in. Wow, this is looking pretty snazzy under here, eh? All right, that's it for that. She's running good now. It's got a nice smooth idle. Yeah, I kind of wonder if we had that. I've got the vacuum now up around 16. I had barely had 12 or 13 before. But we've changed the brake booster, eh? It seems a lot better now. But yeah, the idle is nice and smooth. It's great. I like those lights. They're kind of out of place on this little half ton, but they're neat. Get a little sound bite of it. The muffler gives it just a nice tone. I've had it out for a blast, ran it up through all 4 gears. It works really great. So that worked out pretty good. We did the exhaust. We put the, I wouldn't call it an upgrade, but for lack of a better word, upgraded the booster and master cylinder to the 92 stuff. And we fixed that transmission mount up good with the energy suspension part. Anyway, it's all good. That stuff all worked out great. I'm really happy with the way it drives. I've had it out for a spin, and it's really fun to drive. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. I hope you'll come back and see us again. In the next video, we got some stuff under the hood to deal with. And until then, I'm Kevin saying so long from the Claremont Classic Garage.